Hey guys, hello and welcome back to another Star Wars video. The situation with the Mandalorian and Grogu just got even more insane. You might be aware that I've been covering the latest in terms of the box office, and the initial numbers after the first weekend, Memorial Day weekend, were not great, especially for a Star Wars film. Adjusted for inflation, the Mandalorian and Grogu performed lower than Solo. But for a general box office for a movie in 2026, it wasn't as bad as some people think. Post-pandemic, anything north of 100 million is seen as a success. But even Disney themselves have admitted if they want to make a return on this thing, when all is said and done, the movie needs to generate $500 million. Is it gonna get there? Well, according to Forbes, probably not. In a new piece, they say that for the second weekend, which is this weekend, the Mandalorian and Grogu is gonna see a 69% dive. This isn't exactly the news that Disney and Lucasfilm was hoping for today. Now, they might say that they don't care about the box office, they might say that they're hoping for a big premiere on Disney+, that Starfighter is the real test, but the predictions for the second weekend for a new Star Wars film are not looking good by any metric. And honestly, as someone who enjoyed the film, I find that a real shame. I'm really hoping Starfighter pulls in some big numbers next year, because if it doesn't, we're in a real pickle with this franchise. But I'm hoping that over time, like I said, when it drops on Disney Plus and so on, more and more people discover it. It's not a film you're meant to take super seriously, it's just a fun popcorn flick. But according to Forbes, the movie has yet to see its worst days. They say this: the indie film sensations Backrooms and Obsession are poised to blast, that's a strong word, the Mandalorian and Grogu from the top of the domestic box office. Directed by Kane Parsons, Backrooms earned $10.4 million in Thursday night previews. It's heading towards a box office of $35 million opening day, with a forecasted total weekend box office of up to $79 million. And as for Obsession, can we just take a minute? This film is doing crazy numbers. It's already dethroned the Mandalorian and Grogu. Now personally, I've yet to see it. I've heard some great things, I've watched a few reviews, the trailers look fun, the acting is amazing, and apparently it's one of those horror films that's more unsettling than scary. And thank goodness, and this is what I've heard, it doesn't rely on cheap jump scares. But the most mind-blowing thing about it beating a Star Wars film is it's not a traditional horror movie made by Hollywood. It was made by a 26-year-old YouTuber. And get this, it's already made back 80 times its budget. And look, obviously I don't want to see the Mandalorian and Grogu flop. I want to see Star Wars thrive. But you can't deny one of the reasons that cinema goers are so passionate about Obsession, obviously aside from the fact that it's really good, is that it wasn't made by a legacy Hollywood studio. I love to see indie films do well, and I believe they're the future of this industry. For over a decade, people have become increasingly frustrated with the lack of quality and originality in Hollywood. In today's day and age, they just can't expect people to pay for crazily priced cinema tickets to watch something half-baked, another sequel, another rehash. George Lucas himself said something to the same effect a year ago, and that's part of what made his Star Wars so special. He put his story, his vision first, even if fans didn't like it. The Phantom Menace, and the prequel trilogy in general, is a great example of this. Episode 1 has appreciated very well over time. It's a lot of people I know in my generation's favourite Star Wars film, but back in 1999, it was the furthest thing from what the original trilogy fans were expecting. Say what you want about Jar Jar Binks, some of the dialogue, some of the characters, but those three films are a great example of the creator taking a risk and putting his creative vision first, ahead of fan expectations, and ahead of grey generic corporatism. George was like, you know what, technology has come a long way since Return of the Jedi, I want to do more with digital, I want to do more with CG, and I'm going to tell this story the way I think it unfolds, and not based on what anyone else expects to happen. So even if you're not the biggest prequel fan, you have to respect George's audacity. And so going back to the point, when indie films do well, fans appreciate an amazing story done on a smaller budget, just coming from a place of pure passion. There are so many talented filmmakers out there. So Forbes.com says this: there is effectively no precedent to describe what's happening with Obsession, achieving milestones like increasing 39% in revenue in its second weekend, just from word of mouth. But what's even more impressive is it's already going up against the first Star Wars movie in 7 years. In all fairness, the Mandalorian and Grogu won the first round, but now Obsession is beating it. Daily box office tracking is now showing that, as of this Wednesday, Obsession is now beating The Mandalorian and Grogu handily, earning $5.6 million on that day to Mando's $4.1 million. And again, this is the second week of Obsession's release, and this is Mando's first. And not only this, but they think Obsession's third weekend could increase even further. The news is less good for The Mandalorian and Grogu though, which has already passed its $165 million budget, but is tracking below Solo, the movie that did so poorly it helped scare Disney off doing Star Wars features entirely. That ended with a $392 million run, compared to Disney's other 5 Star Wars movies doing $1 billion or more. Mando will not come close to that. They go on to say that the next Star Wars film, Star Wars Starfighter, is a bit of a risk, because it appears to feature no existing Star Wars characters from past movies or shows. I get what they're saying with this, but at the same time, the movie literally features Ryan Gosling, Amy Adams, Mia Goth, and Matt Smith. That is a huge pull, so I have to disagree with Forbes on this. But tracking for The Mandalorian and Grogu's second weekend is not looking good. Deadline is projecting a 69% drop at the domestic box office. And for comparison's sake, in its second weekend, Solo only dropped by 65%. So it's not looking great. You know, I enjoy this film, but these numbers are showing that Mando is past his peak. This movie is a few years too late, and probably wasn't the right choice for the next Star Wars film. Considering Starfighter had such a smooth production, they should have just waited. If they can wait 7 years, I'm sure they can wait 8. But moving on, my friends, but staying on the subject of The Mandalorian and Grogu, we have some new comments from Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. They were asked, if The Mandalorian TV show has so many cameos, why doesn't the film? And Dave Filoni responded with this: it's about the characters and what they're experiencing. When we find the right reason to have characters intersect, we definitely do it. So he's trying to debunk the notion that all of his Star Wars projects are just cameo fests. He's saying that when they do appear in the shows, they're there for a reason. They're not just there for the fan service, but they serve a purpose in the story. And a great example which he's provided in the past is Mando and Grogu being sent to meet Ahsoka Tano. In the context of the story, Din Djarin was trying to reunite Grogu with his kind, the Jedi. And so, after helping Bo-Katan, she gives him the information of Ahsoka's whereabouts. Then Ahsoka sends him to the Seeing Stone, and so on and so forth. And Jon Favreau, when asked the same question, repeated the line that Grand Admiral Thrawn was meant to appear in Mando Season 4, but as we know, they did the movie instead. And so finally, guys, I want to look at the results of a recent poll. I asked you guys, this amazing Megalorian community, what did you think of The Mandalorian and Grogu? And the results surprised me. 41% of you said you loved it, 34% said you just liked it, 20% said it was okay, and only 5% said that they hated it. So it seems like most of you agree with what I've been saying about the film, that it was a solid, fun adventure for what it was. It wasn't going to connect to Ahsoka, but it doesn't mean, like a lot of people are saying, that the film was pointless. And if you want to learn more about this, check out some of my most recent videos. I did one breaking down if R2-D2 was in the film, and also something massive we learnt about Grogu and the Yoda species. But with that said, my friends, that brings us to the end of today's video. Please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and may the Force be with you always.